we go. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. I gotta be honest with you. That game drove me nuts. I cannot believe the Buccaneers lost that game. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Tough one. Man, that was an absolute blazer from Cooch, wasn't it?
What a crazy game. The Bulls are bowl bound for the third season in a row. An incredible performance. And listen, we know the competition. They did what they had to do. No more silver linings. No more moral victories. It was put up or shut up time. And boy, did they rise to the occasion.
I'm bulled out right here, baby. Bulled out. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Recher podcast. Hope everybody is doing well, whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. Unless you're Gordon Ramsay, you are dead to me. Never going to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant ever again. He can suck it. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I love you all. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. A big thank you to our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, for all of your residential and commercial needs. 813-244-0956. And of course, Evara Health. We'll have our Evara Health Injury Report today at 12:30. Doc couldn't make it yesterday. We've got him on today. So we'll talk to him at 12:30 today. Plenty to get into on the program. We're going to start with who I think is going to win the AFC and NFC championship games this weekend. Then our pal Josh Queipo is going to join us at 12:15 from Pewter Report. Why is Zac Robinson a good fit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? He'll tell you at 12:15. We recorded it before the show, so I'll play that for you. And then, as I said, injury report at 12:30. At 1 o'clock, she finally joins us. She finally comes aboard and joins the program. It's one of my best friends in the industry. The great Julie Stewart-Binks joins us here on the show to talk about life, to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Can't wait to chop it up with her. And then we'll finish the show today. What to watch this weekend, including our Bulls. A big win last night for Coach Brian Hodgson and the USF men's basketball team as they go to UAB and beat Andy Kennedy and the Blazers. That's been a little bit of a house of horrors for the Bulls the last couple of years. They're back in action on Sunday against FAU at 1 o'clock. I will be there at the Yuengling Center. I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Hopefully I'll be better by Sunday, and hopefully we can see you guys there. Go USFBulls.com. Go get your tickets today. You saw the video from Rob Higgins this morning, the CEO of athletics for the Bulls, imploring everybody to get on out there and support the Bulls. That's why I'm rocking the green and gold today. I'll be out there on Sunday. And, yeah, it's going to be fun. I always want to hear from you guys. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen if you want to join in on the conversation. There is the link right there in the chat. Boom. StreamYard.com/NAIG2PDWX9 right there. Join in on the conversation, whether you're on your phone, whether you're on your laptop. First time, long time. Benny's always in the house. So is our guy, David Terry Bolts, back-to-back. What a great start to the weekend. That's right. They're in action tonight and then tomorrow. So we'll be keeping a keen eye on the Bolts. That is for sure. David Terry, I'm seeing your guy, Andy Robertson, might be going to Tottenham, which I think would be a terrible move for them. And DT, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Listen, the only way we're going to keep this continuing and keep this thing going is by our partners, Honest Hammer and Evara Health. And, of course, the super chats. GT, you are the man. Thank God it is Friday. Happy Friday to our guy Dolan. And look at this. What is up, Jay and crew? It's my birthday today, boy. Let's give it up. Clap it up. Helmet up. My guy. I got any other stuff? Oh, Honest Hammer, baby. Honest Hammer sticker. Honest Hammer business card. Honest Hammer helmet. We got it all, buddy. Clap it up for our guy, Honest Hammer, our guy, Russ, partners here on the show. We couldn't do this without you. Love you, brother. You are the man. A big team Tampa Bay sports fan, a USF grad like a lot of you out there. We love you, brother. Happy birthday, and thank you for all that you do for us here on the show. Eric Moreno's here, 45 days till paradise. He's going to Hawaii. Come on, man. You should take us with you. Dolan, LFG Bolts tonight. How about our guy, Carlos Preserver, with the $10 super chat? CB, my man. Thank you so much. Janet Best, you're right. Happy birthday to our guy, the honest hammer. You are the man. David Terry wishing him the best as well. The hard hat, baby, all day. Preparing for a snowstorm here in the OKC Metro. We'll pray for our guy, Robert Cochran, out there. Big USF fan, big Oklahoma City Thunder fan. We love you, buddy. Be safe. I know my parents, I felt so bad. My family in our group chat, they were talking about how much snow they're going to get on Sunday. And I said, you know what the high on Sunday is going to be here in Tampa? 81. 81. Sorry about that. I feel bad. Dolan with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Dolan. You're the man, buddy. You've been another guy, man. Dolan has been with us. So again, thank you to David Terry, Carlos Baserva, and our guy Dolan, man. Dolan's been around forever supporting me. So thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. 20 plus inches between tonight and Sunday. My goodness. Snow all around. I got friends in North Carolina as well talking about that. Again, my family in New York, and I'm here like, man, it is going to be nice. 87 in Lakeland on Sunday. You're right, E. I mean, it's just, this is why you live in Tampa. This is why you live in the state of Florida. All right. So, hold on. So, I was Julie. She's joining us at 1:00 today. All right. So, this weekend, and make sure we've had so many good interviews this weekend or this week on the show. The stuff that we spoke about with our pal Mark Armandi from ESPN up in Atlanta was a really good chat. Greg Allman joining us yesterday. Of course, Erlinson and Cena. Just a great bunch of discussions we've had. And it's going to continue to go today. The Josh Queipo stuff you're going to hear in a couple minutes is fan freaking tastic. Mallory's here. Nothing but ice here in North Carolina. Oh my gosh. Have a great weekend as well to you, Eric Moreno. NFC, AFC championship games this weekend. And it's kind of funky because everybody that I ask has the same answer. Who do you think's going to win? New England or Denver? And everybody keeps saying New England because of Bo Nix's injury and Jarrett Stidham going in there. I ask everybody about the NFC, and they keep saying, all right, well, who do you think's, when I ask, who do you think's going to win, the Rams or the Seahawks? Well, the Seahawks looks like a guy that, it looks like a team that they just can't be stopped. So who do you think is going to win? It's hard to go against those two. Now, you have a guy like Jarrett Stidham who is a guy that's been around the league. They have as much confidence in him as anybody. But with that being said, you can throw as many passes as you want in the preseason. You can throw as many passes as you want in mop-up time or like practice, right? You can practice with the ones always. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that compares with actually being out there when the bullets are flying on a Sunday. So do I think Denver's going to win this game? No, I don't. I think New England's going to win this game, but Drake May has to take care of the football. A lot would have been made. Like, let's say if New England loses one of these first two games, you look at Drake May and you're like, come on, man. Where's the ball security at? And I know it's only his second year, but that's just something that could kill you. That could kill you as a team that has these aspirations to make these long runs. So Drake May's got to take care of the football first and foremost. But I look at this game with the Denver Broncos, and I don't care what anybody's going to say. And as soon as the news came out on Sunday that Bo Nix was hurt and that Jarrett Stidham was going to be the guy under center for the Broncos, we knew, or at least I knew, all week long, all we were going to hear was how great Jarrett Stidham was and how they have a chance and how much Sean Payton loves him. And about how difficult it is. And I know Ian was saying the same thing, how difficult it is because there's no tape on this guy. All right. Okay. If he was that good, he'd be a starting quarterback in the league, right? You just don't hide guys back there for as many years as he's been there. He'll be that good where that other teams will know this and they'll trade for him when their quarterback goes down, right? A guy is not that good of a backup quarterback where he's just being pressed down. The job is as hard as it is in any sport. Even the guys that have the starting gigs have real issues. Like, how many legit starting quarterbacks are there in the National Football League? You're telling me that you can't even fill out a whole freaking that every team doesn't even have a great one, and you have one that's a backup. I find that very hard to believe. Very hard to believe. I'll go with New England in this one. Now, for the other game, I get it. I get the Seahawks are dominant. I get the Mike McDonald, what he's been able to do with that defense, and Sam Darnold and how good he's playing, and the balance when they have Kenneth Walker Jr. And let's not forget, Zach Charbonnet is hurt. He's out for the year, ACL. So that hurts their running back depth a little bit. They have Jackson Smith and Jigba. They have Cooper Kupp. I understand that. But there's just something about the Rams that they don't even have to be at their best and they can win. I like this for the Rams because it's almost like people are counting them out, and that's a team with Super Bowl championship pedigree. That's a team with a championship winning quarterback. You got Nakua, you got Devontae Adams. You still got some good running backs with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. You have a very opportunistic defense. I'm going to go with the Patriots and the Rams. I don't know what it is. If the game is close in the fourth quarter, I trust Matthew Stafford a whole hell of a lot more than I trust Sam Darnold. Now, if you're a quarterback that needs everything to go well in order for you to be a good, signal caller, then that's fine. Because I get that there's a group of guys that are like that. We see that with Baker. We see that with Jared Goff. I think Sam Darnold's in that group. But I think Matthew Stafford's in that group with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. And he doesn't get talked about nearly enough because he's older, obviously. But he's a guy where things could kind of break down a little bit and he can find a way to be successful. I'm a big fan of Matthew Stafford, and I think somehow, some way, it doesn't have to be pretty, but I think somehow, some way, these guys figure out a way to get it done. I go Rams and Patriots this weekend. And then there you go. Those will be the teams squaring off in the Super Bowl. Just how many years after Aaron Donald and the crew and Jared Goff led the Rams to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Then they came up short, and then they made the move, and then they go from there. Our guy, Kings Orful. That Zac Robinson hire is so uninspiring, particularly because not only is the DC still there and calling plays, but all his cronies are still there. So what exactly is expected to change? Yeah, I know defensive side of the ball, I think, is the one thing that worries a lot of people when it comes to the Buccaneers going forward. But we had this discussion with our pal Josh Queipo. He joined us on the program. And listen, if there's a guy that's really going to understand the breakdown of everything about this team, it is going to be Josh. So again, we recorded this before. I had a different shirt on, but here's our guy Josh Queipo and our discussion from a little bit earlier today about all things Buccaneers.
And here he is. He joins us now, our good buddy Josh Queipo from Pewter Report. Josh, I appreciate you taking some time and talk some Buccaneer football today. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing really well, Jay. I mean, obviously, it's always nice when you get news and you start to understand what is going to happen in the future. So some clarity there is always nice.
Yeah, the clarity, I mean, it's been speculation season for so long, and now we have an idea of like, all right, now we kind of have an idea where we go from here. I think one of the big things that I wanted to talk to you about today is the fit, right, from Zac Robinson to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because I know listening to certain people, they were worried about, all right, well, they're out of the pistol and, the different offenses with Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins, and how is that going to affect Baker Mayfield? What can you say to those fans out there that are worried about the fit with Zac Robinson? How do you think he's going to be able to accentuate the strengths of some of the players on this offense?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. My lack of clarity, I think, comes more from the run game than necessarily the pistol stuff. So just to kind of address the pistol thing. So Zac Robinson goes to Atlanta in 2024. And they become like the pistol heaviest offense in the NFL. They actually were the year prior. I was doing some research and it was really funny, but they remained that. And I attribute that to the fact that Kirk Cousins, coming back from his Achilles injury, just wasn't ready to move coming from under center. And so Robinson kind of had to adjust the offense accordingly. So how do we still run wide zone if we can't get our quarterback under center? Well, you do that from the pistol. And so that was the adjustment he made. Then you fast forward to 2025. Now he's got Michael Penix. Well, you go back to Michael Penix's college game. Like his last year in Washington, over 90% of his snaps came from shotgun. He's not an under center quarterback. Right. So how do we run wide zone with a quarterback who can't go under center? We run the pistol. So I think that Robinson adapted to his personnel out of necessity. The positive takeaway from that would be he's shown an ability to adapt. And the Atlanta Falcons run game was very successful over the last 2 years. Now, they had a lot of really successful parts, right? They had an offensive line that was designed to run wide zone, and they had, a unicorn back who's fantastic at wide zone. So how does that translate to the Bucs, who have not been great at wide zone for the last couple of years? And you've had two offensive coordinators that tried to get them to be a mid-zone type of offense and failed. One of them went down with the ship, failing with it with Canales. We're going to run mid-zone no matter what all the way through the year. And then you had Cohen, who is special. And he's like, oh, well, we can't run this really well. Let's do something else. And they did that at a really high level. They did the gap stuff. That's the big question for me, is Robinson seems to be a purist when it comes to wide zone. And I don't think that would work well with the Bucs personnel. I don't think Bucky Irving is great at wide zone as a back. I think the offensive line has proven multiple years now that they're much better as kind of this power and pull type of run system. And so my hope is that Robinson can show he's malleable in terms of my personnel runs this other thing really well. Let me cater to them rather than trying to force a round peg into a square or a square peg into a round hole. When it comes to I do think he'll get back to under center. I think you'll see Baker under center. I think you'll see a lot of play action from that. How much of that will be play action and boot? I think a decent amount, but I also think that Robinson can cater a play action game where Baker stays inside the pocket. And I think you need both of that in today's NFL. And I do think that you get the experienced play caller, you get somebody who has come from the McVay tree. And I do think that there's an ability to adapt. So I think this is a pretty solid hiring considering the cycle and considering who's been out there. So, and definitely a higher floor because of the experienced play calling.
Who, if at the beginning of the offseason, who did you want? Who do you think would have been the best fit out of all the guys that were discussed?
Mike McDaniel is special in my book. You talk about adaptability. I've seen and I've interacted with some people who are like, well, that Miami Dolphins offense would not work well for the Bucs. And I'm like, he wouldn't bring that offense. You look at what he did in Miami, it was so completely different to what he was doing in San Francisco. And it's really, he designed an entire offense around a very specific player that he had to design. I mean, the Dolphins had used, such a high draft pick on Tua Tagovailoa, and they wanted to make him work. And so he said, how do I make Tua work? And he created something that was very unique, very specific to a very limited quarterback, and it worked for a pretty long time. And I thought that is a special characteristic. We saw some of that in Tampa Bay with Liam Cohen. We're going to design the offense. I'm going to design the meal based off the ingredients I've been provided. And I think nobody does that better than Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, that was my guy. I thought that he would have been able to do a really good job here. More parts, more active of a quarterback where, he doesn't really love to make plays off platform there. And that's what's a little bit scary, I think, for him as far as his future going forward. What about the pieces on offense? Who do you think would really excel in this Zac? Like you said, he adjusts his his game plan to who he's got. But is there anybody specific that we should be looking at and saying, man, based on what he's done in the past, I think he's really going to stand out? Or is it a wait and see kind of thing because we have to see how he's going to adjust to all these different ingredients in the recipe?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, I think this is a good thing for Baker because they've worked together. I go back, it's less X's and O's, but Baker has been on record as saying that he stopped loving football by the time he got to LA. And then he being in that ecosystem and working hand in hand with Zac Robinson helped him regain his love of football. So I think that merger there and the familiarity and the comfort between the two of them is a good thing for Baker. Beyond that, Robinson did a good job of getting a lot out of his pass catchers. Kyle Pitts had one of his best seasons this past year. Drake London, getting him into the slot, I thought they did some really good things with him. So I would say it's going to be good for Chris Godwin, because I do think that he's been able to use the slot position specifically really well. I mean, even when Kyle Pitts has moved into the slot, he's done well in Robinson's offense. So I would say that those two that Chris Godwin, and then depending on how much they put Emeka Egbuka in the slot, those two could really excel in this particular type of system.
Josh, what are you looking for now from the Buccaneers? Now that they've got the special teams coach wrapped up and Danny Smith, and now that you got your OC and Zac Robinson, what are you keeping a close eye on how the Buccaneers are kind of putting this whole thing together as we get closer and closer to the 2026 season?
Yeah, I think two things right now. The first is filling out the coaching staff, right? Like Robinson's obviously got to make a couple of hires on offense. It'll be interesting how many of the current coaches that he keeps. I know he's going to keep Carberry, and they've worked together in the past. But I would hope that he's keeping most of the position coaches on the offense. I think that they've proven to do well. But really on the defensive side of the ball, like they've got some open position coach positions. And I want to see who they fill that with. Is Bowles just going to go with, guys who have been in the league for a long time, or is he going to try and challenge himself in some way with some newer coaches who bring maybe some innovative ideas or ways of doing things? I'm also looking to see whether Rashad Johnson gets promoted from assistant defensive backs coach, Nichols, and whether he gets the full cornerbacks position, which I think he should. So that's really the first thing, is how do they round out the coaching staff? And then beyond that, it's going to be interesting how they start to put together the talent on the offensive side of the ball to enact Robinson's vision. How much does he feel like I can work with who you already have? And then how much does he say, I need a specialized player in this position? So I know a lot of fans are looking at two of the offensive free agents from the Falcons, and running back Tyler Algier, especially with Rachaad White likely moving on. Sean Tucker's a restricted free agent. And then there's been a lot of talk around Kyle Pitts, which for me, that'd be a hard sell on how Pitts is a positive for the offense, the way it's currently constructed. But I'm interested to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with Kyle Pitts. He still didn't have 1,000 yards. He did have 88 catches, which was great. But you're paying him based on the what could be the exception to the rule, and a team that doesn't seem like they feature their tight end all that much. I would just rather keep a guy like Cade Otton in that spot. What do you make of what Todd Bowles needs to do in 2026? I had this conversation with our pal Matt Matera. What does Todd Bowles have to do to be able to keep his job and to coach his team in 2027? Like, what's the floor? We just mentioned the floor. Like, Todd Bowles has to do at least this in order to make sure that he's got this job again in 2027.
Yeah, either or of match his highest win total, which would be 10 regular season wins.
Yeah.
And I would say at least one playoff win, probably getting through the divisional round to the conference championship. I would say some combination thereof of those two things.
Yeah, it's going to be wild too, because I know fans are still like wondering, why are we just delaying the inevitable here, where it seems, you're asking him to do something that he's never done as a head coach before. So were you surprised at all that they stuck with Todd Bowles? No,
I wasn't surprised. I think I was the one constantly like reminding people like there is another side to this argument, and the Glazers just seem to really like Bowles, and he's righted the ship a couple times. He didn't really do it this year. I totally understand that. But I was not surprised.
What about Jason Light? How would you grade him? I mean, we taking the whole Bruce Arians, Tom Brady relationship out of it, and I know it's a huge part of this, but before and after that, I mean, and it's like that with everybody. I mean, you look at the track record of some of the GMs, like you're just not going to hit on a lot of these draft picks and these free agents. But, it's been a while since he's drafted a Pro Bowler, right? It's been since the draft with Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. When you look at Jason Light and the job that he's done the last couple of years, it seems like he's done a good job, but he needs to really, I think in this draft coming up, maybe get some guys that can kind of push to be Pro Bowlers. I know it's tough where you're going to draft from, but it's a better draft pick than he's had the last couple of years. What does Jason Light need to do specifically to get this roster all around better, to get them to compete, not just in the division, but probably in the entire conference?
Yeah, I think being a little bit more aggressive in free agency and possibly trades. But yeah, you can only be as aggressive as your ownership allows you with cash.
Right.
I push back on. I get this whole thing like he hasn't drafted any Pro Bowlers since that the Wirfs Winfield draft. But I was talking with somebody not too long ago. There have only been like 32 Pro Bowlers drafted since then. Like it's not like every team's getting 2 to 3 Pro Bowlers a season or every other season since then. So I think the context is really important there. And if you look at, has he drafted Pro Bowl caliber talent? Yeah, if Kalijah Cansey plays an entire season, he's likely a Pro Bowler, right? If Cody Mauch, the trajectory that Mauch was on before getting hurt in game 1 last year, right? Week 1, he probably could have been a Pro Bowler this year. So the talent that he has developed or drafted and has developed in Tampa Bay is on par with a top 5 drafting GM over that time period, right? Again, like, we want every draft pick to be like this home run. That's not the reality. But if you look at, he has built a solid roster via draft. And then has he signed any players that have been absolute disaster free agent signings? Not really. Like, did Hassan Reddick work out this year? No. Was it this huge bust that's going to hamstring the organization for multiple years? No, it was a 1-year signing. His worst signing up to this point, like if you look at his worst one since 2018 or so, the re-up on Ryan Jensen. Well, okay, like that was a career-ending injury that nobody could foresee. The Russell Gage contract, which they got out of after a second year, and they were able to restructure and lower his cap. He just doesn't make bad signings that hamstring the organization. So I get there's frustration there because the team hasn't taken that next step. But again, look at the context. You look across the league at what other GMs are doing. I'll put Jason Light's track record up against any of them. So they do need to find some linebackers this year. That is the big thing. Like the position group wasn't addressed appropriately last year. That's one that him and his department has to take the hit on. And it's such a crucial position for Todd Bowles' defense to work, that they've got to go and do work there. They've got to take some chances there, and they've got to improve the athleticism in that room. I think if they're able to do that, you see an improvement in the defense. If you can raise the floor of the offense even 10% from last year, you're looking at a team that's going to be back in the playoffs and can do some damage.
Yeah, and I saw something the other day of Mel Kiper Jr. saying Kenny Sadiq would be a good option there in the first round. I don't know how much I love him taking a tight end in the first round, but it's probably going to be another defense-heavy draft, don't you think?
I would hope so. It looks like I'm very early into my draft prep, but it does look like it's a defensive-heavy draft in terms of where the talent is. And there are some really interesting linebackers who may or may not be available when the Bucs pick at 15. It looks like edge rushers on day 2 will have some good value there. So a couple of positions where they've got some need. The interesting thing there is I think they could build some depth at interior defensive line. I don't know if this draft has that caliber of player. So that may be a place where they need to address in free agency.
The great Josh Queipo, Pewter Report. Follow him on all social media platforms. Follow Pewter Report, pewterreport.com. They crush it all the time. Josh, you're the man. I appreciate you taking some time, and we'll talk to you again soon, man. Thank you.
Of course. Have a good one.
Right. How great was that? My guy, Josh Queipo, he is all over it, buddy. He really is. And the entire breakdown of why Zac Robinson would be a fit, why it wouldn't be a fit, like things like that happen. I mean, to go through all the different iterations of an offense and knowing that you're not just going to have that same kind of offense every single year, it's going to change based on your personnel. Hopefully you have a coach that's open-minded and he's going to put his players in a position to succeed, and it's not going to be the same thing over and over and over again. I'm excited. I think Zac Robinson is that guy. I think he is open-minded. I think he has the ability to do a lot of different things with this offense, maybe some of the things that he wasn't able to do in Atlanta last year. So we'll see. But it is kind of funny, listening back now as, all right, we're looking forward to the 2026 season when the 2025 one isn't even over yet. But just the way it goes. That's where we're at right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So new coaches right around the corner. And we'll see, because before you know it, Super Bowl will be played, the NFL draft to be upon us, and then we're looking ahead. And it's all right, buddy. Our guy Hammer, I always end up behind Josh, is a wealth of knowledge. Yes, that's why we had to have him on today, because I really knew that he did his homework when it came to Zac Robinson. And for all those people that think he's not a fit, well, I think he is. So excited about that and excited about the future of our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're always excited to talk with this gentleman right here. We usually have him on Thursday. We have him this Friday here on the program. It's our good pal, Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, with our Evara Health Injury Report. Doc, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am good, buddy. How's the weather over there? It's beautiful on my side of the bay, and it's a lot better than my relatives that are dealing with snow.
Oh, no, it's beautiful. I actually just came from outside, and it feels like 80 degrees outside. It's beautiful, sunny, and nice and warm. Can't believe it was 40 degrees just a few days ago.
I know it's crazy, man. It's that's just, and hopefully everybody out there staying safe, getting a lot of fluids, staying hydrated. That's a huge thing. That is for sure. So we're gonna switch things up a little bit here, Doc. As you know, the Buccaneers are out. It was pretty easy for a while there, but we are keeping a close eye on some of the football players that are still in there, including Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold. We know he was dealing with a little bit of an injury last week, but it didn't look like it bothered him too much. I think he'll be even better this week.
So he's dealing with an oblique injury. It actually happened in practice 3 days prior to the Seahawks game. And it's an oblique. We talk about this with the Springer injury. So he actually looked really good in the Niners game. So I don't think it was bothering him a lot. He's been limited in practice this week. I think they're just trying to be careful, make sure he doesn't aggravate it, re-injure it. So I think they're limiting his number of passes and his number of reps that he's taking just to make sure there's no big aggravation before the game. I don't see a reason why he wouldn't be playing. And I don't expect him to be playing any different than he did against the Niners. I mean, he should also have a great game. The recovery is usually 3 to 6 weeks, but right now in the playoffs, we don't really have time to think about it's going to take 3 weeks for him to get better. We got to basically go week to week with him. So the fact that he has been throwing, played last Sunday, it may just be a minor injury. They're just trying to be careful with it. So I think he'll be fine to play this weekend and be fine for the playoff game.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers coach, said, that he took a Toradol shot, and I think he'd be okay. And I mean, Ian, my buddy who played for the Buccaneers in the 90s, he tells me, man, they would give him Toradol shots a lot, but those are not safe, are they, Doc?
No, not in excess. So Toradol is essentially injectable, very strong Motrin or Aleve. It's basically an anti-inflammatory agent, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agent in injectable form. It actually also comes in oral form. We usually limit it to about 5 days when you're on taking the tablets because it is really strong and can also tear up your stomach, your gastrointestinal tract, and cause ulcers and things like that. On the injectable form, it's not something we want to be doing on a daily basis either, just because it's such a strong, potent effect on other things like the GI tract that you really want to limit its use. It does work very well for acute pain, so getting a shot right before the game or about an hour or so before the game is certainly going to dull down and numb up a lot of the pain that you're having. You still have to be careful because you don't want to be injecting players that are dealing with severe injuries because you don't want to mask any worsening of the injuries or mask any symptoms. So you really want to limit it when it's a minor injury, a small injury, maybe a muscle type of issue, just to dull the pain so the player can perform well without pain being a factor.
Yeah, we know the Seahawks, they were able to beat the 49ers last week, and it really wasn't too close. And, it's tough to use injuries as an excuse, but when you have so many players that were not in the game and top tier guys, and you and I were talking about the Fred Warner injury, and they decided after our chat last week that he wasn't going to play, but he was practicing like he was going to get out there. Yeah. But obviously losing a guy like George Kittle and his Achilles, and what do we know? Because, again, he's not the youngest guy in the world. What do we know as far as his, do we think he'll be ready for the start of the season next year? How long do you think George Kittle will be out?
Start of the season would be, I think, pushing it. So he had a Achilles tear. From the surgery and the report from the surgeon, the best case, and what from what Kittle said after the surgery, it was a little bit of a best case scenario. The tear happened close to the muscle belly. So tears close to the muscle belly heal better because there is better blood flow to that area. The ones that may take longer to heal and the repair's a little more cumbersome are tears that happen right at the bone because there's not a lot of vascularity there, not a lot of blood flow there. You have to drill through the bone to create basically anchors, and you put basically really thick suture to basically rebuild the anchoring of the tendon to the bone. Once it's in the near the muscle belly, there's a little more tissue there for you to anchor the sutures. And usually it will heal a little better naturally with the scar tissue just because of that. So that may put him a little closer to the shorter window of recovery, which is about 6 months. Usually we look at Achilles tendon injuries after surgery, 6 to 12-month recovery. The shorter windows for those injuries that recover a little faster, the 12-month window for those that may be closer to the bone. Either way, complete functional recovery is usually 12 months. So is he going to be ready for the beginning of the season? I don't think so. I think it'll be closer to the middle of the season for him to be there. But with these guys and the resources that they have for rehabilitation, nutrition, it wouldn't surprise me if he's there closer to the beginning, but I would put him closer to maybe week 6 to week 8 of the season for him to be there.
What about Christian McCaffrey? He looked to be in some discomfort there during the game, and I think by that point when they started losing, it was just like, there's no reason to bring that guy back with how much of an important part of the offense he is.
So if you were watching the game, basically he went in, got a hit, and then he's grabbing his shoulder area, grabbing his arm area. They're stretching the neck and the shoulder. It's reported he had a stinger. So a stinger is basically a stretch of the nerves that come from your neck towards your arm as they travel basically right through here. That stretch basically causes injury to the sheath or the covering of the nerve temporarily. So it may reduce conduction through the nerve. So you get tingling, you get numbness, you get a little bit of weakness. It's usually transient, minutes to hours, and it goes away. So in most cases, it resolves right off the bat. Person goes back in. So it happened in the first half. He sat out the beginning of the second half, went back in, had a couple of plays. And I think the Niners at that point said, you know what, it's not really worth it. We're not really in the game. Severe cases take up to 2 weeks to recover. So he should be fine. There should be no issues with this. It's rare for the nerve actually to be hurt. If they take longer than 2 weeks to recover, then you start looking at, is there actually a nerve injury associated with it? But most of the time it's just a sheath. So it's just like you have electrical wire and just the sheath is what's hurt. The wire inside, it's okay. So it's kind of the same injury. So he should be fine. By now, I suspect it's mostly asymptomatic.
So now we look at the 49ers injuries, and they've had so many these last couple of years. And now we're seeing this big thing, and it's been debunked by some people, but there's an electronic substation that is near there in San Francisco. And some of the players actually think that it contributes to some of these injuries. And you and I have talked about it a lot. It's like, it's the NFL. This kind of stuff does happen. Yeah. But they're going to be doing studies now, Doc, right? I mean, because it's kind of alarming. It's been a lot the last couple of years. And
they may look at it, but I mean, electromagnetic radiation, I don't think has been associated with an increased risk of muscle or musculoskeletal injuries. It has been associated with cancers and tumors and things of that sort. So we do know that electromagnetic radiation does have some effect on the body. On the human body, because it can create some changes. I don't think it has to do anything with the increase in the injuries. I mean, if you look at the Buccaneers at the beginning of the season, this season, we had all kinds of injuries. All our wide receivers are going down. The running back is going down, linemen. And you look at it, and it's just, I think, the nature of the game. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, and sometimes you get into a streak where a lot of the players get hurt. I mean, I don't want to say it's anything related to training or conditioning or overtraining or too many practices or anything like that, because that's closely monitored throughout all the teams in the NFL. So I think it's just happenstance that they just had a streak of injuries. I really don't think there's anything to do with an electrical station being near them. I think every team goes through these streaks of players, one after the other, getting hurt. As I said, we certainly saw it with the Buccaneers, and we weren't saying, oh, it's an electrical station by the Buccaneer station doing all this. It just happens.
So they talked about that in the past about, like you said, it causes cancer. What does it do to the cells, for an electrical substation like that? And then why wouldn't that affect cells around certain parts of the body too? And again, I trust what you're saying here. I'm just trying to think how are people putting these two things together?
Well, we know radiation can cause cell changes, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some theories that electromagnetic radiation in high quantities, high exposure to electromagnetic radiation can also cause some changes to the tissues. I mean, there was talk for a long time also that cell phone use. You hold your cell phone for a long time near your brain, near your ear, all that radiation from the phone may be causing changes to your brain. there's no strong scientific evidence on it.
Okay.
There's some mild and minor evidence that there may be some effects. We do know that certainly certain radiations can cause, when exposed at high levels, will cause cellular changes that lead to, as I mentioned, certain cancer, certain issues. Whether electromagnetic radiation living next to an electrical tower or a big power station causes changes that can be associated with cancers or medical issues is being debated. And it's actually, there's been cases in court, there's been cases in the medical field where patients have brought that up. There hasn't been really strong evidence that proves it. A lot of it, it's tenuous at best when it comes to correlation, but there may be a little, it's one of those areas that we got to investigate a little more and have a little more data regarding is living next to or practicing or playing next to a big power station, does that have an ill effect on the people that are surrounded that area? There's, I think, some small evidence that does show that people living near those stations or living near high electromagnetic radiation may develop some issues. But I think it's one of those things that needs to be further investigated.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're keeping an eye on Seth Jones from the Florida Panthers. I mean, obviously, we're not cheering for the Panthers, but Seth Jones, unfortunately, he's not going to be in the Olympics now for Team USA. He's gotten replaced by Jackson Lacombe. We saw his injury at the outdoor game. What do we know about his injury?
So he took a puck right at the collarbone area. So my thinking is that he may have suffered a fracture or a cracked clavicle from the puck hitting that area. If it had been a contusion, if it had been a soft injury, this happened January 2nd in that Winter Classic game, I wouldn't think that he would be out of the Olympics, mostly because of a bruise or a contusion. My thinking is that bone actually may have broken and he's dealing with a fractured collarbone. That would make sense when it comes to recovery time, right? 4 weeks for the bone to recover, then extra time for the bone to heal up. So then that puts us in the time frame that it would not be ready for him to be able to play in the Olympics. So that's my thinking, because anything other than that, like a muscle injury or a bruise or anything like that, it's enough time for it to get better. But a puck to that area, right into the middle area of the clavicle where he took it, it's very likely that he suffered a broken collarbone.
Oh, I feel so bad for the kid, man. And he's played so well since he's gone to Florida. It would have been nice to see him representing the USA. And you know, with the Olympics around the corner, Doc, I mean, a lot of these guys are, I know Victor Hedman, I saw him the other day. He's dealing with his injury. He still has a brace on his arm. These athletes, when they get, it's almost like you got to save them from themselves a little bit, right, Doc? Because I'm sure you've seen this working with sports, with athletes out there. If, you know, they've been training and getting ready for these huge events. Sometimes you wait years for them. And man, they have to make some tough decisions sometimes on their bodies, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, and I bet you a lot of times if it's up to the player, they're saying, I'm good. I'm gonna play. I'm fine. Yeah. And it's really up to the medical personnel and a lot of times even the coaching staff to basically tell them, hey, live to fight another day. It's one of those things where you gotta be able to just say, hey, I know it's an opportunity that comes once every 4 years, but you probably will be there in 4 years from now. You're such a great player. You're an outstanding player. So 4 years from now, you'll still be there. You'll still get your opportunity. It's not worth it to risk a big injury now. And then not only are you missing this Olympics, but now you're missing the rest of your hockey career and maybe even the next Olympics too. So in a player's mind, they're ready to go, but you got to put a little objectivity to it and make a little sense out of it from the physician in charge or the medical personnel in charge, and just put a little more sense into it and put it in perspective for them.
We spoke about the Braden Point injury a couple of weeks ago, Doc, where it seems like he avoided, you know, the worst case scenario in tearing his ACL, but it's probably something with the MCL there. We haven't heard back from him yet. We haven't seen him on the ice. When do you think he would need to be on the ice in order for him to be ready for the Olympics? Because I don't know if he'll be ready for the outdoor game next weekend.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a tough call. He's got to get on the ice a little, right? Like, it'll be hard for me to believe, because we know that Ryan McDonough, Victor Hedman, and Emil Lilleberg are all back on the ice skating at least a little bit, but Braden Point has not. So he's got to be on the ice a little bit, even just skating in a non-contact injury in Jersey before he goes to the Olympics, right?
And we talked about that. Even if he didn't tear the MCL and it's a strain, it's still a 3 to 6 week period for
Right.
recovery and functional recovery. So that's where I was a little pessimistic on him returning to play before the Olympics and be ready for the Olympics. Uh, so at this point, with him not skating, the Olympics are 4 weeks out. I think it's really doubtful. They're still listing week to week. The Team Canada, I don't think, has made any announcements regarding that he's not going to be in the roster. So I think they still have hopes that he will make it. But I think if we have any hope of him making it, we need to see him in the ice in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If he's not in the ice by the second week in February, I really don't think he'll be there for the Olympics. Now, it could be that they're holding him out just to make sure that he recovers. He can be rehabilitated. He can be doing work off ice just to strengthen the muscles, strengthen everything in the lower leg, and just allowing the ligament to heal up, just to get him ready. So he's on the ice maybe the first week in February, see how he's doing, and then at that point making a decision as to whether he's ready for the Olympics.
How about a guy like Jack Hughes, another guy that we've seen and we kept a close eye on because he's going to be representing Team USA. What do we got from him?
So they reported that he had a freak injury to his hand back in November 15th during a team dinner. It did require surgery. So my thinking is that he was cutting a steak or doing something with a knife, and the knife may have slipped, and he suffered a cut to the hand. And at that point, it may have involved tendons or may have involved muscle. And very likely tendons, because it's close to the hand. A lot of times you just have a lot of tendons that sit on the surface near the skin. So my thinking is he had some sort of tendon injury, required surgery. They did a repair. He was projected to miss about 8 weeks after the surgery. He missed 18 total games, came back against Buffalo. So I think from whatever it happened, it has recovered. He's good to go. But my thinking is that he just cut a tendon in his hand during the team dinner, and they just had to repair it. By now, it's been November. So it's been about 2.5 months since the injury. So by now, that's fully recovered, fully healed. You mostly have to wait for the swelling to go down and for the tendon to recover. But right now, he's been playing, so I think he'll be fine at the Olympics.
Yeah, hopefully him and his brother, they're going to need him. And his brother saw him playing last night for the Minnesota Wild. I just saw something that I wanted to ask you about. UFC, big event tomorrow night, UFC 324, and UFC bantamweight Cameron Smotherman collapsed moments after making weight before. I wanted to ask you how dangerous it is for these fighters. And I saw it a lot growing up for wrestlers, these guys cutting weight and how dangerous that is for their body. Because I've been in person and watched these weigh-ins, and these people, they look like ghost stock, and it's petrifying. It's so scary that's what we have to do in order to get people to be fighting at the same weight class. Like, when you see stuff like that, what is your whole thought process on cutting weight and the damage that these people are doing to their body? And then the very next day, all the water weight comes back and they look like they're completely fine, but that can't be healthy.
No, it's not. And there's been a lot of debate. I'm actually a ringside physician for the state of Florida, and I've been doing ringside medicine for over 18 years. Cutting weight, there's a lot of debate because you got promoters against the medical field and the science. So if I tell you from my perspective, from a medical perspective, the way it should be, a person should be monitored underweight throughout their training to make sure they're not losing an excessive amount of weight and maintaining a healthy amount of weight, so that they're fighting really at mostly their natural weight. What happens is a lot of these guys are really 1 or 2 weight classes above where they're fighting. So then they go into this training period, and especially as they're getting closer to the weigh-in, they lose a lot of weight, most of it which is water, and they get extremely dehydrated. They could go days without eating. I mean, I remember when I go to the weigh-ins, I mean, they have that ketones smell in their breath because they really have been starving themselves for days. Now they weigh themselves, and then the fight night comes next day, and they go from, say, weighing at 126 pounds, now they're 140 pounds on the ring. And if they're fighting someone who's naturally, say, at 126, that person's not at a disadvantage because that person may have weight 126. They always weigh around there. Maybe they're walking into the ring at 130, and they're facing somebody that's now 2 weight classes up because they just put all that water weight. So there's the imbalance, I think, in the fighting and in the sport. Sometimes we've advocated that the weigh-in should be done the day of the fight.
Right.
But promoters will argue against that because that would mean that if they don't make weight, fight's canceled. So then you lose a fight. So promoters want the weigh-in to be done the day before, because if they say the guy doesn't make weight and it's a couple pounds over, they can give him usually about an hour or two to lose the weight, come on back, weigh in, and you weigh in good, and we're good to go. Or there may be some negotiations that happen in the back regarding the purse or something like that, or is the belt going to be on the line or not? But it's still dangerous to the individual to be really underweight, dehydrated at the time of the weigh-in. And as a physician, I always look for extreme signs of dehydration, extreme signs of malnutrition when I was doing the weigh-in and I was doing the physicals that day before. And I would make a note to myself that I really had to check on that fighter the day before, the day of the fight, before the fight went on, just to make sure they had recovered, that they were well. And I would give my clearance then at that point, to make sure that they were okay to fight. There's also strong evidence that when you're dehydrated, you actually are more prone to concussions and brain injuries, because that brain is actually now sitting in a bigger space because there's less fluid, and the brain actually has shrunk some too because of the lack of fluid. So there's some evidence now that head injuries can also occur more frequently when you're dehydrated. So another issue to make sure that they are hydrated. I've seen that happen where fighters will collapse during the weigh-in or will not do well during the weigh-in. And then it's really up to you now as a physician to go, are they going to be okay to fight tomorrow? Am I going to wait till tomorrow just to give them the clearance to make sure that they're okay? Or do I just hold the clearance and say, no, this person's just not ready to fight. They're just in a nutritional state and in a physical condition that they may not be able to sustain a good fight, or may actually be at risk of bigger injuries.
Yeah, they actually canceled the fight. So the UFC has not announced an update on Smotherman, but the fight was canceled. And I know the reason why, it's so scary when I watch stuff like that. And I've been such a big MMA fan since the beginning. And I remember Frankie Edgar, who was the champion at lightweight at 155 for so long. He cut between 4 and 8 pounds. Like, it wasn't anything at all. And he went in there kind of like you alluded to. He went in there at like 160, maybe. Right? He was right around 155. And you'd look at these guys that he'd be going against, and they'd be 15 to 20 pounds heavier than him. But he had a lot of success because he had a lot of energy. He had a lot of, gusto behind his punches, because he wasn't killing himself the day before, and then just, recuperating so fast and drinking. I mean, it's kind of wild, isn't it, Doc, when these guys, like, what are some of the crazy things that you've seen as far as people putting weight back on? Obviously, one thing I remember is like one of the original Ultimate Fighter reality shows, and they locked one of the guys, I think it was Bobby Southworth, in the sauna with a jacket on, with the bike, because he had to cut weight. But these guys are taking like Pedialyte and like, what are some of the most drastic things you've seen for people to put back on weight?
So to lose weight, which is what you were alluding to, they may take diuretics, they may take laxatives, they may take some medications just to dehydrate themselves, to make sure they empty their GI tract. The danger of that is electrolytes can get lost, electrolyte imbalances can happen. To gain the weight, most of it is water weight that they've lost. So just by getting hydrated and drinking all their fluids back and their Pedialyte and everything, and just start putting food in their body, that water weight comes right back. So that's why it's not unusual that you could see somebody weigh in at a certain weight during the weigh-in, and then come fight night, they report the weight and it's 12, 14, 15 pounds higher than it was at weigh-in. That is water weight. I mean, a gallon of water is about 5 pounds?
Yeah.
So all that water just comes right back. And so just a couple of gallons of water, that's 10 pounds right there. But you notice that during the physicals, when you're doing the physicals, you can tell who's really dehydrated. And you can sometimes see that there's guys that come in, they're still a couple of pounds up, and you look at them and you go, there's no way this person's going to lose another couple of pounds. They're already at the extreme. But they will go out there, and as you said, they go on a sauna, they put trash bags on, they put a plastic suit on, they'll go running, they'll try to sweat, and basically, again, it's sweat. You're losing more water, dehydrating yourself even more to lose those extra couple of pounds, and that's dangerous. That's quite dangerous. So as a physician, it's one of those things that I would look at when I'm going to those weigh-ins. I look at it and I go, no, this is unsafe. This is not right for this person to be on the ring tomorrow. But I think it's one of those things that I think we need to make the science a little better and make it better where we're monitoring these fighters' weights throughout their training to make sure they're losing weight in a healthy way. And also to make sure that it's not an extreme weight loss and that they're fighting at the right weight for their body. I think that will also even out the field a little more when it comes to combat sports.
Great stuff as always. Our good friend, Dr. Carlos Rodriguez with the Evara Health Injury Report. We touch on a little bit of everything. I always enjoy our chats, Doc, and any day you have to move, just let me know, buddy. No inconvenience whatsoever. We always appreciate the time. And thank you, as always, for making our show a whole heck of a lot better and a whole heck of a lot smarter. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
You got it, buddy. Great stuff, as always. You guys know me, big UFC fan. I've been watching it since day one. He is the man. Yeah, I mean, UFC 324 this weekend is going to be a good one. And I just remember watching some of these weight cuts. And again, my buddy's wrestling in high school. And man, they're just cranky people. They're cranky dudes, man, when they're trying to cut that weight. It is no joke. All right, Evara Health. Make sure you check them out, guys. These are our partners here on the program, the Evara Health Injury Report with Dr. Rodriguez, every single week. Go to everahealth.org. We have 17 different locations there in Pinellas County, everything from the cradle to the grave. They can help you out. They have a sliding scale for the uninsured. They take any kind of insurance. I love what they're all about. And they want to make sure that they can help you. I go to Evara Health. I go see Dr. Rodriguez to get myself checked. And the people that are there, you love Dr. Rodriguez and you listen to him speak here on the show. That he's that kind of guy, like in person, right? He's that dude. I love him. I'm so glad that he's on the show again. Everahealth.org. Honest Hammer Custom Builders LLC. Today is our guy Hammer's birthday, so shout out to our guy Russ, our guy Hammer. He is the best, and we are so grateful that he is with us. He is a partner here on the program. 813-244-0956. TheHonestHammer.com. Email him, TheHonestHammer@gmail.com. Bathroom renovations, kitchen renovations, whatever they can do to help your home. Remember, it's not just your house, it's your home. They can do it. TheHonestHammer.com, 813-244-0956. You got a plot of land, you're looking for a fresh, new custom build, they can help you out with that as well. It's his birthday, man. Support local. This is a guy that supported me since my days back at WDAE. You want to support Hammer, he is the man. Happy birthday, my brother. Yes, I'm just a huge fan of his as well. All right, I know a lot of people, Tim Word, I know a couple of people are saying Mike McDaniel interviewing with the Bills for the HC job, pulling a Liam Cohen. He's not pulling a Liam Cohen, and here's the reason why, Tim. He actually told the Chargers what he was doing. He didn't disappear. And that's the thing with Liam Cohen in the long term. We'll see what happens next year and the year after. Because the way he went about his business, I wasn't a huge fan of the way he went about it. Listen, it's one thing if you don't want the job here, if you're going to go, just be honest. Be honest. Don't go freaking, radio silent on the Bucks like you did last year. There's a way to go about your business and the way to go about it. Listen, I've said this for a while. Just be honest to people, man. Just be honest, right? Everybody's not always going to love what you say or what you do, but I mean, I'd rather hate me for people that, I'd rather people hate me for the person that I am than love me for somebody that I'm not. So for him, Mike McDaniel, he didn't go AWOL. He let everybody know what's going on. So, I mean, it's a big opportunity. If he gets a chance to be able to go to Buffalo and work with Josh Allen in that offense, I mean, I better hope he bundles up because he looked like a guy that was really enjoying South Florida, and I'm sure he enjoyed his time in San Francisco. He looked like he was heading out to LA to work with the Chargers, but it's not done yet. He could be the head coach somewhere. Could be the head coach somewhere. I wonder if the Buccaneers would have made that move. If Mike McDaniel said, yeah, I'll come there, but I got to be the head coach. Would they have gotten rid of Todd Bowles? Probably not. But if he goes to Buffalo and works with Josh Allen, my goodness, look out. I mean, he stays in the AFC East. He's going to be familiar with that. But this is the great thing about being Mike McDaniel at this point. You get your choice. Whatever you want to do, You want to stay and be an OC somewhere and then look at the jobs next year, you can do that. You want to do it this year? Fine. He has got leverage. Life is a lot of times when it comes to your business, when it comes to jobs, a lot of that stuff comes down to leverage. Right now, Mike McDaniel has a lot of it. You heard Josh Queipo talk about it before. This is a guy that's very respected around the league. He's, man, the way he runs his offense, something different in San Francisco, something different in Miami, and it'll be completely different the next place he goes to. Can you imagine how creative he'll get with Josh Allen if that's his quarterback? Damn. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And listen, that when that news comes out, if he does end up taking that job, I mean, if they're interviewing him, I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't want to go with him. And now that we see that Josh Allen is actually in all of those conversations, it's pretty crazy. Here she is. All right, so we've been trying to get this person on the show for a long time. And not only is she talented, she's actually one of my best friends in the business. I don't say that about everybody. She is the one and only Julie Stewart-Binks, JSB, rocking her Canada quarter zip today. What's going on, girlfriend?
Hey, Jay, that was so kind of you. I consider you one of my best friends in the business, too. So I'm glad that that's mutual. And I'm so glad that I could come on because, as you did just mention, we've been trying to make this happen. And I've been like, nope, sorry. And I've been honest about it. I sent you the team schedule. So it's like, I swear I'm not blowing you off. Like, I'm going to be doing this. So, yeah, pumped to be here. I mean, you're a legend in this city. So, like, this is an honor for me.
Oh, my gosh. The check is in the mail, my friend. And you're right. I mean, guys, you should see it. It's funny. Julie would be like, I can't do it. Here's my schedule. And she gives itinerary. And then the next time it was like, here's 8 text messages. Here's what my outfit was last night. Julie's the best. No doubt about it. It's pretty incredible. Did you see my picture that I put for you on Twitter?
Not yet. No, I haven't. I can't wait. I
took a screenshot of your Instagram video when you were dressed up as Snape for Halloween and you did the Taylor Swift thing. So yes. I took the screenshot of you in the mirror with your wand.
I just saw it. This is so good. Just reposting. I love this. Wow, that's a deep dive, and I really truly appreciate that.
You know me.
Wow.
You know me. I go above and beyond for my loved ones.
You do.
Sure.
That. Put that on your resume as being like, look, I went above and beyond. I screenshot this video from 2022 or something like that.
That's right. And for those who don't know, I don't know if we've told any. Well, this is the first time I think you're on my podcast, but you've been on the show on WDAE. I bought you a car once too, so that's what kind of friend that we are.
Yeah. Jay bought me a car. So it was felt like a little much, but no, it's a toy car.
It was a little much, and then you saw it come in through Amazon. You're like, why do you need my address? So here's the thing for people that for the first time, I told you we were up in Toronto for the All-Star game, and my favorite player growing up, and again, he changed my life, was Mark Messier, because I loved hockey from then. My dad is an Islanders fan. I'm a Rangers fan. He just changed everything. So Julie was like, oh yeah, this and that. And I was like, yeah, if you ever introduce me to Mark Messier, I'll buy you a car. She goes, all right, let's go. So we literally walked around the building there in Toronto. We were lost for like 20 to 30 minutes. We could not find this guy. And if you ever watched Harry Potter, the little map when you can see the people kind of walking around, that was Julie and I. We finally found Mark Messier, and I got a picture. So I said I'd buy her a car. So I bought her a Harry Potter car, and I mailed it to her house because that's what friends do. They follow what they say they're going to do.
Well, I appreciate that. And it was funny because it is weird. Like, Scotiabank Arena is a place I somewhat know. I guess that's evidence I have absolutely no idea because we were looking for the ESPN booth, and it wasn't like we were trying to find Mark Messier and he was just going everywhere. It was like Mark was solid in one spot, and we were just we could not figure it out. Like, we did like 5 laps of that upstairs spot. It started to make me think we're going crazy because Yeah, and then we got locked out of some random area. I remember that door.
We had to like hold the door in one spot. We had to stop here, hold the door. Somebody had to knock. We had to wait for somebody. The
Yeah,
security
but we
guards are
got
like
it.
laughing
We
at
got
us.
it.
They're like, "Are you sure?" And we literally, I think, walked past the
Yeah,
room
they were like,
three
"Are you
times.
sure you know anything about the universe?" And we were like, "Well, I mean, no, I don't think we are sure about that." But yeah, so it was great. That was an all-star
But we had a
game.
great time. Yeah, we had a great
Yeah,
time. Great all-star
great.
game. We put a lot of effort in that, a lot more than Cooch did in the skills competition. But it was great because I got to talk to him after that.
Yeah.
So what has it been like? Obviously, you know, you're stepping in for our good friend Gabby Shirley as she's on maternity leave, but I know how much you love this city. I mean, it's great stuff, you know, every time you're here, when it was back at the All-Star game as well too. But what is it like to be a part of one of the best organizations in all of sports?
Jay, the whole thing is so surreal. And I don't think I've really had a chance until this week to really realize what I'm doing, because I got here and it was like hit the ground running. And I never really got to explain to people because I had to keep this all sort of like hush hush until literally I was on air and my friends were like, "So did you just like casually move to Tampa and you didn't tell us?" I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much what happened." And I was coming back from like a family trip to Barbados for Christmas, and I had planned, well, whatever, the snowstorm. I was going to bring all my stuff for Tampa to Barbados, which like would have been a nightmare anyway,
Oh my
like bringing
gosh.
all this stuff there. But snowstorm, my flight was canceled in New York, so I had to like quickly get on another one. Couldn't bring all my bags with me. I was like, whatever, I'll just fly back to New York, get my stuff, and then come to Tampa. Boom, another snowstorm happens on my way back. So then my flight gets canceled back to New York. And the Delta lady was like, "Girl, like if you just are going back to get your clothes, go right to Tampa and buy some clothes." I was like, "Thank you." Um, so I did. I came right to Tampa. I had absolutely nothing I could possibly wear to even like a morning skate. Like I had
Oh.
caftans and bathing suits and like ripped jean shorts. I was like, I can't wear any of. I even tried to look, being like, could I possibly? Could I
You were trying
possibly
to
wear
you were
any?
trying to convince yourself, could this be appropriate? And you're like, no, this
Yeah,
isn't
it's like
working.
not even in the slightest. Like, anyway, so then I had to just like go run to Nordstrom, buy like clothes. Also, my VRBO was really not sanitary. And I was like, great, I'm not staying here. So then I had to just go check into a hotel. Like that day was like, do you ever know when you just get locked into the zone? You're like, okay, all right, adrenaline is up to 500,000% right now. I got to go buy a whole new wardrobe and I got to go find a place to live because I start a new job tomorrow.
Oh
And you
my
only get one
gosh.
chance to make a
Yeah.
second impression, Jay. And so I was like, I really got to do this well. And then, of course, it has been like this incredible ride of get to Tampa, do the game, be very welcomed by everyone. Gabby couldn't have been more helpful
Mhm.
and kinder to help the fans. Like, it be like, hey, look, we're in lockstep, support each other. I'm going to go have a baby. Julie's going to fill in while I'm gone. And it was very good. And I loved how that all happened. Because, you know, as any fan base, they get very accustomed to and close to the people that broadcast the sport.
Mhm.
So when someone new comes in, it's like, like, who is
Mhm.
this new person? No. And I get that. Like I knew that coming in. I was like, "Oh, I can't
Mhm.
wait for these Reddit threads." But then I was like, "Ha ha ha. Guess what? Gabby's coming back. So you can't be that mad, right?"
Mhm.
So I was like, I'm like, Psych fans, don't worry. You can't get me now." And so, but anyway, traveling with the team has been great. Whirlwinds. It's really weird. I told people it feels like I'm Austin Powers, like cryogenically unfrozen, because I had used to do this exact same job pretty much with the Anaheim Ducks. And then
Mhm.
it's like the exact same type of thing, new team 8 years later. So a lot of the things are similar, but then a lot of the things are very different. And there are just different nuances with the team, and there are different nuances now with like everything. And you know, I'll start doing something, and then I'll be like, "Yo, like we don't do that anymore." And I'm like, "Okay, great, like good to know." And I literally do feel like Austin Powers. I'm like, "Oh, okay, like good to know." Like with a team, because a team is so different than covering a sport when you're not with the team. And I'm very glad I've had 3 years of working with like Bob Murray, Randy Carlisle. That really was a lot. And then, of
Mhm.
course, Bruce Boudreau was like a warm, cuddly blanket to work with. So that was nice with the Anaheim Ducks. And that was the last time until this year that they were really good. So that was great. And so having that and like going on the road with them, West Coast, and then we go to like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and like so many places I can't even like remember anymore. Dallas and St. Louis and
Mhm.
all these things. It's been, and they've been winning and winning in so many different ways. And like I love seeing the team culture. And I will say the guys have been so respectful to me. And I was curious on how they would respond and how they would be like. And the culture is so different in the room and in life. And I think in sports, and especially as a woman, like I felt extremely welcomed here. Like Brandon Haga, I think maybe you were at that first game. I don't know if you were,
No, not at the
but
first game. No.
yeah, at the first, like before the media scrum started in the locker room, we were getting like my microphone set up. My old school microphone somehow have that 1900s microphone last game. But anyway, it was regular the first time. And he took a second. He's like, "Hi, I'm Brandon. I just want to introduce myself. Welcome to the team."
He's the
And I was
man.
like, "Wow." I was like, "What?" I was like looking behind me, like, "Are you talking to somebody else?" Because obviously, like, I'm not used to a player being like that type of I don't know, respect and going like above and beyond. Same with a lot of the guys, all of them.
Mhm.
And they all have time for me when I'm like, "Hey, can I just like sit beside you and ask you a couple questions off camera?" They're like, "Sure."
Yeah.
Whatever you need, whatever you want. And I think that's what's been interesting, having been also in the New York Rangers locker room. Sorry, I know you're a big Rangers fan. And things are a little different there right
Yeah,
now.
they are.
And so the 3 years I spent being in and around that locker room, very, very different. Probably the other end of the spectrum
Yeah.
of what just the vibes. The vibes have
Mhm.
been pretty tough. Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not there right now. Yeesh. Anyway, this has been really nice. It's like, wow, this is not only have I known this team to be a winning team, championship team, culture on point, and the fan base to be just like lovely.
Mhm.
That was my when I did TNT Toronto and Tampa, like my first impressions of this fan base were that they were happy. And I was like,
Mhm.
wow. I was like, what? I'm from Toronto. I don't understand what
Mhm.
this is. And everyone was so kind. And I was wearing this like holographic blazer, my first game here, which I have with me. And I'm wondering when I'm going to pop it out again, because that is a blazer, as you know, when you dress to impress, people love
Really?
it. People love it. People
Really?
wanted to buy that blazer off of me. And I really regret probably not selling it. Someone offered me 5 grand for it.
Oh my God, Julie.
During the game though. I didn't
Yeah,
have
I know.
another
Come on.
blazer. I was like, what am
Yeah.
I gonna go on air in like a
Like a tank top.
spaghetti strap?
Well, like
I'm
you
just
said, I wasn't there the first game, right? And then it's so funny because you came up to me the second game when I was back from the holidays, and you come up to me in the room and you're like, the energy's so much different when you're here. And I'm like, yeah, because
yeah.
everybody, when I'm there, everybody makes fun of me. I'm the local punching bag when it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning media, whether it's Cooper, whether it's the players. Darren Radish is yelling across the room, "Look at Jay's ugly shoes. I can't believe he'd wear those again." Cooper always gives me grief. And then, of course, Eric and Ed and Deandra and Corey and everybody, they're always like, "Oh my gosh, did you get dressed in the dark again?" So, I mean, it's pretty cool that we're all like a nice, big, happy family. And I know it's
Yeah.
not like that everywhere.
No, and I think that when you say that, like your energy, like, and I said this to you last game, like you do change the energy of the locker room. You change the energy of Coop's press conference. Like you bring it, and I will say thank you for your service, because I'm sure it's not always easy to be the guy there like, ho ho ho, look at what Jay's wearing, do, 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 do. And they're trying to be funny, and you're like, like
It's me.
yeah, and you're also like it is also like a great hack to have, right? Like it's
Mhm.
a great
Yeah.
way to have to break the tension in any room when you kind of like, and just even back to that holographic blazer that I was wearing
Mhm.
in Tampa, like all of Toronto had walked past me. Like I was in the hallway. So imagine like where the lightning come out. And
Right.
the whole Toronto team's walking past me and I'm wearing this, like, I look like a clown, right? Like I got this like holographic blazer on and I just remember Jake Muslin started laughing and then the whole team couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, I assume that's good. Like,
Mhm.
and then they're all just like giggling. And so that was a way to kind of like bring down the temperature because obviously I think like being around that team, especially in that series, it was like like Fort Knox. So that helped me in that regard. But even I think but you also you have worked in this city, this community, this sports world, and you have the respect of all these guys, these people. And like I'm not just pandering here because I'm on a show, but like you can ask the tough questions that I can't ask because of my job, but also
Mhm.
because I haven't really gotten, like, I can ask them, but I'm not going to get the same response. And so
Mhm.
like when you asked Coop about Sorelli the other night, first of all, I would have been like put in a dumpster afterwards if I had done that. And my inclination is to want to ask that too. Like
Mhm.
just
Right,
even
right,
like
right.
not just like as if I don't ask this, am I being a bad journalist, right?
Right,
Like
right,
by
right, right.
not figuring it out. But when the way even he responded and he was like, oh, like buddy on buddy, like
Mhm.
he was kind of like a little bit lucid in his answers to you.
Yeah.
And the way he answered about Dan High Note with the penalty, like was so great. And like, you don't just get that out of a person because of the way the person is. It's the way the person feels around you and how
Right.
you get that. And so I think that's like a testament to the credit to how you ask the questions, but who you are to them, right?
Mhm.
So like
Thank you.
that's no small feat. That takes a lot.
No, I appreciate that. And we've had, and it's great because it's not always easy. And I remember last year when the whole thing happened with the Panthers and Paul Maurice said something of we only hit the guy with pucks. And we only hit players with pucks. And then I asked Cooper the question after I think it was game 4 or whatever. And he looks at me, he goes, Jay, we only hit players with pucks. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, that's gonna go viral. And then when it did, like it was just like, how does he answer questions like that to you? And I go, I'll ask him fun questions, I'll ask him the hard questions, but
Mhm.
and I think you just have to show up, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
big thing is like you have to be there. And I've had this conversation with when I was with the radio station, and some people think like, all right, well, you can go cover teams, but you don't have to be there at the games. And I go, I guess in a certain way you can, right? But I think there's another element of being there and having that relationship and having just that knowledge and that experience of being there, right? That it's just completely different. Like you could watch as many Leafs games as you want, but if you're not in the press conference, if you're not talking to the players, if you're not at the game, there's just a certain level. Like I don't think there's a ceiling with how great your coverage can be when you're at the game, but I do think there is a limit when you're just watching it at home like the rest of the fans.
100%. And when you just started saying that, you reminded me a lot of rest in peace, Larry Brooks, who Brooksy
Mhm.
always would show up.
Yep.
Always. Didn't matter if he's writing an article that would, might be tough. He's there the next day to back it
Mhm.
up. And a lot of the players and people really respected that because, like, it takes some big kahunas to be able to say a lot of the stuff that he did and then be there. And, we saw him and Torts and their relationship and all that. And, like, I mean, he just wasn't scared to kind of be that
Yeah.
person, but also in a non-antagonistic way. Like, first of all, being around the rink, people see you, they know you, they feel comfortable around you, and then you get to see the little nuances of
Mhm.
how the guys are around one another. And I told some of this story, but like we've been going back to the well with Jake Gensel a couple times because recently, and he was in Dallas. Like he wasn't super jazzed at the idea, let's just say, of doing an interview with me after
Mhm.
the second intermission, and he was kind of just like, ah, gosh, blah blah blah. But I'd already interviewed Hags like earlier in the bench warm up, so I was like, all right,
Right.
I'll. So I asked for Gensel, and then so he comes out and he was like, I just already did like one of these. I was like, well, just stop scoring goals and we won't ask for you. That's just what I said before I went on air. And he was like, yeah, but it was a late goal. And I was thinking in my head, like,
Too bad, buddy.
whatever. I mean, like,
It's funny you said that. I said the same thing to Hagel the other night because weeks ago, and I think this was before you were here. He was just like, "It's so nice to speak." Maybe you were here. he goes, it's so nice to speak after wins rather than after losses, because he's a guy that's such a great quote and he doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
So he said that to me, and I go, yeah, just, this is awesome. And then he scored again the other night. We talked to him, we walked by, and I go, bro, stop scoring so many freaking goals, then we won't talk to you. And he just started dying laughing. He's like, bro,
I know.
you're right, but that's
But wait,
vibe,
I know, right. Kate, let me just finish this and then I'll
go
let
ahead.
keep going. Okay, so he comes out after the game and he was like, I just want to say I apologize for how my demeanor was. He was like, I was yelling at Brian Brazeman, the PR, VP of communications. He was like, I was yelling at him, not at you. I was like, dude, I don't care if you were yelling at me, or not. Like, I mean, it's like we're two dogs that are just two dogs that aren't in, we're all just in the same like pig pen, essentially. We're all just trying to do our job. And then after that, like, he was doing cool down and Kucherov came out and was like, Jake, the cameras are over here. You have to get back over here. And I was like, oh, I love this. It's like a little bit, it's a bit now. Like the room now will like, is going to like, that's going to be a thing. And he was like, kind of like making that. And then it was like a big joke. And I mean, we were saying, because we were waiting for Coop to come out. This is in Dallas. And we were like, Jake should just be like, Cooch, why don't you do a friggin' interview?
That ain't happening.
No, but Jake's just like, gosh, shucks, like, ha ha ha. He's such a nice guy, and like, he's not gonna be like sastastic back to Nikita Kucherov, because I certainly wouldn't be.
Have you talked to Kucherov?
No, I haven't, but I because
you may not.
No, but
it's funny because Gabby came on too. Me and Gabby spoke about this, and listen, we spoke in the same vein of you, like you're working for the team, you're with Scripps, but like, and Gabby was a lot more like open to it, like than I thought she would be. And me, I'm not trying to paint you into a corner, but we speak because people want to know, like, what is that like? And I go, he's the most difficult person difficult person I've ever had to cover. And I've covered him in multiple cities, and the crazy thing about it is in Toronto, after the whole thing with the skills competition, he gave me like 8 minutes, just like me and him talking. So he was fantastic. But here he just like, he keeps it to a minimum. And I asked Gabby, like, how tough is that? And she goes, it's not easy. It's not personal. He just really doesn't like it. It's not personal. We don't like dislike him for it, but there's like times where he does have to talk. Like when you set a record, you know what I mean? When you become like one of the only people on the planet to ever do something, like you got to talk for 90 seconds. And he's just so bothered about it. He just wants to go about his business and kind of move on. And, one thing that I've told the people is like, and people will say like, don't badger him. Like, we do not badger him. We don't ask for him. Like the only time we ask for him was like, when we really need to hear from him. But he's also fortunate that he's in Tampa, where we're very nice. Like we're not in one of these media markets that is like Kucherov has to talk once a week, or he has to talk. There is nothing like that. We don't need to hear. He talks during the end of the season stuff, before the season stuff, after a milestone, and really that's it. So we're very, I think we treat Cooch with kid gloves. He is kind of a unicorn in that aspect. And I think I speak for everybody here. Just keep scoring as many points as you can and leading this team to victories. We'll talk to you sparingly, like the top of the food pyramid. We're fine.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, the whole dynamic around it. Cause to my point of being Austin Powers, it was like, I don't know all the little nuances of stuff. So my inclination would be like, either he doesn't feel comfortable speaking English, which is certainly not the case. As I have heard him in the locker room, and I'm like, wait a second, are we not talking? I'm like, what? I was like, this guy speaks perfect. Like he's so verbose to the guys in the room. I'm like, so for me, I would be like almost because I don't have that history here of knowing, I would be less afraid to go be like, hey, how's it going? Can I talk to you for a couple minutes? And him to be like, then he can shut me down and be like, I don't really do this and blah, blah, blah. But like the me that doesn't know would be like, I'm going to try to talk to him. And then maybe he does talk, right? Like sometimes you just don't really know with some of these guys. But I think that now, like it's like, okay, you take on anxiety of other people. Like my mom's really afraid of heights. One time I took her across like a bridge in London, which was not very high.
Mhm.
And I was holding on to her. She started to get really, I could tell she was getting real nervous. She was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She's like Marge Simpson on the plane when she's like, get me off, get me off, get me off. And I started to feel the anxiety. I was like, I'm not afraid of heights. I'm like, why am I afraid right now? It's like, because I'm beside her, holding on to her.
Mhm.
And so I feel like sometimes it's like, okay, we don't talk to Kucherov. Nobody talk to Kucherov. Don't even look him in the eye. Don't do this. Don't do that. Right. And so, so then you start to take it on being like, oh my God, he's near me.
Mhm.
Like, don't look at him, but like he's in reality, maybe not as intense as that. I don't know. I mean, he is intense, but like maybe he would talk. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see. 12 years, still waiting for.
Listen, I'm
one-on-one.
ready
No,
to
it
be
ain't
there.
happening.
I'm
It ain't
only
happening.
here. I'm a short-term rental, so like, just if anyone needs anything, just throw me in there,
You don't
and
even-
I will go. I'll go get to. Yeah, I got it. I got an expiry date, so I mean, like, you just need something, I'll just go try to get it, and then we'll see. Obviously, I'm a team employee. I wouldn't do anything that would compromise my position.
I love you. I love you. All right, two more before I let you go. You're doing Olympic stuff, right?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
so tell us all about that.
Ooh, I mean, boy, is this not the craziest upcoming week probably that I could have possibly ever wished for? I have to keep being like, Julie, this is what you put on your vision board. We've got, first of all, I'm very fortunate I get to fill in for PK hosting the game against Columbus tomorrow night.
Sweet.
That's why I'm currently not in Chicago, and because it's an ESPN game tonight. Then we've got like the whole week, leading up to the Stadium Series, which I'm very excited to be a part of and be around for. And we're doing a pregame show for that. And I got a couple other ideas I pitched. We'll see how they go. And then literally the next day I leave for Milan. So, and I have all my onboarding next week as well. While I'm probably like, at morning skate, I'm like, onboarding for the Olympics, like at the rink. It's going to be a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I've dealt with worse. So go right to Milan. One thing I'm super pumped for is that I'm going to be covering the red carpet of the opening ceremony, which now I know obviously the Stars of Heated Rivalry will be there, and that is what I got my eyes on. I'm like,
There
how
you
do I
go.
make sure I get these guys? You know me, I'm like, okay,
Yep.
all right. I'm gonna plan out the most like intense way to try to get Connor Story and Hudson Williams. And it's gonna be, and I will get it. I will get it because I'm working for CBC and Crave and all that. It's a Canadian thing. Okay, so power positive thinking. But then I'm also going to be doing men's and women's hockey for Team Canada, specifically for social. So like intermissions and other things. I don't know, working with the analysts that they have going, and kind of doing a lot of that social lead as like a reporter producer. So also producing a lot of social stuff. And then also doing like a wrap up every day from the Duomo in Milan of all the other sports. So I'm kind of like, there's sort of a couple of us that are like doing social and linear that are stationed in each one of the main cities, and like mine is Milan, and all the ice sports are like my bread and butter, and I was a competitive figure skater, and obviously hockey, and I know curling because of Saskatchewan days. I mean, speed skating is definitely what I'm having to really learn a lot more about, but I don't have to worry about the really hard, like different like winter downhill sports. I can just enjoy watching the craziness on TV, which by the way, I won't even be able to see it. Like when you work in Olympics is when I worked Tokyo 2020, 2021, I didn't even know what was going on unless it was right in front of me. I would find out from my friends the next day, like, cause it was 13 hours ahead in Tokyo. I'd be like, oh wow, that happened. Like you were asleep, I was working, and you're going to tell me about it 12 hours later. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that like Simone Biles isn't competing like in that one Olympics. And so that's the only annoying part about working in Olympics is like you are right there and you're like, I had no idea any of this stuff happened. So, but it's unlike anything else. It's a very formative experience. It has highs, it has lows. I look back at some of the videos I have from being in Sochi, from being that's crazy time. Sochi, Tokyo, Vancouver, and it's like it's so emotional. Like
Mhm.
you become you soak up all of the athletes' feelings, the
Mhm.
ups, the downs, and like you also don't sleep and you eat when you can, and you're also going crazy, but it's a heightened exciting time. So I will be seeing like a lot of John Cooper and Hagel, Point, Sorelli. Very confident that Point won't be there. That's just my own gut feeling. And yeah, it will be. I'm curious to see how they respond to seeing me there. I've been kind of
Mhm.
trying to like let them know, like, hey, I'm gonna see you in Milan. And it's kind of like what the new girl is talking to me again. I don't know.
You're not the new no. So that's what. Before I let you go, I want to ask you about the relationship with John Cooper and just like you've known him, you've covered him for a while. I remember when he was on your show, Drinks with Binks. I mean, what is that like to see his growth to being one of the best coaches in the game and now covering him on a daily basis here with the Lightning?
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable. I was thinking like he's the exact same guy I met at a Calder Cup party in 2012 in White Rock, BC, where I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. And like, chill. I don't know how I started talking to him. Like I was so random at this party. Like my boyfriend at the time was friends with one of the guys on the team. Like, why am I there? Anyway, good I was there. And then, just getting to know him, and he's been a supporter of mine. He's helped me. He's given me advice. We've talked since I've been here, kind of like understanding the role, understanding. I just told him I was like, help me help you type of thing. So like,
Mhm.
how can I best serve this role? It's different than so for instance, like because you're a team reporter, you're not like you're not a real reporter. I'm not a
Mhm.
real boy. Like I'm not like, I'm Pinocchio really. And so it's like sometimes I have to ask him a tough question that's like something a team reporter wouldn't, which was like the status of Braden Point when we were in Pittsburgh. And I just said beforehand, like before I was on, I'm like, I don't want to ask this question, but I got to ask it. And he's like, I get
Mhm.
it. Like what the status was,
Right.
because I was the only one there. That's the
Mhm.
one thing. Like you're the only one there.
Yeah.
It's like
You're doing the job. Yep.
you better not be hungover. Like really, that's it. Like because everything falls on you to ask all the
Mhm.
questions. No, it's kind of been funny to see John reach all of these milestones while I've been here. I kind of feel as though I'm like uh, I don't know what I've just I'm like I'm just I'm documenting John Cooper's life right now. Like I'm just here to document all of these amazing accomplishments that he has, and I said that's my job in life. And it feels kind of weird in a weird way. It's like every story I tell is like John Cooper said this, John Cooper did this, John Cooper did that. And so I mean he's deserving of all of it, so that's just what it is right now, and I'm
And then you go to
glad
the
that
Olympics. And then you go to the
yeah. and
Olympics.
then and then I'm like, wow, I guess this was my job on earth, was to meet him, to cover him in all these different regards, and then to watch him just continue to crush all these different milestones. So obviously, if I was to be a part of any organization, I swear to God, it would be this one. And I say that as like, growing up in Toronto, definitely wouldn't want to be covering that team. But like this team is just a delight to cover. And I do believe that comes with winning, but that also comes with the people that are involved. And so again, just really, really fortunate that Gabby had a baby, and that Gabby is tending to that baby so that I can have my baby, which is living this opportunity right now. And then we will switch positions. I mean, not switch positions. I'm not having a baby in 4 months.
No.
Surprise,
Watch
guys.
out. You never know. These guys in Milan, man, you might get tripped up by a smooth model out there.
And then it'll be a speedy pregnancy. No, and then then Gabby will obviously be back in time for, we always keep our fingers crossed. But yeah, it looks like the playoffs is for sure at this point.
No doubt about it. The one and only Julie Stewart-Binks, JSB_TV. She is the greatest. So many nice. I'm getting all these emails from NHL public relations. It's like, all right, just tell me that my credential is good, please. Because they wait until the very last. They went to the very last second, and they sent me the email for the what the schedule is going to be like.
Good. Well, you're ahead of me. I don't even know. So
They just sent it, so we should be good. So I finally have an idea what my next week looks like. All right. Congratulations
good.
on
Well,
all your success.
please let me know what they say.
I know. So we'll definitely be spending a lot of times together. You are the John Cooper biographer.
Yeah, I
You're going to
guess
be
so.
the ghostwriter on his autobiography. Julie Stewart-Binks.
I don't think he'd let me. Man, what a nightmare it'd be to ghostwrite John Cooper's autobiography. How many notes would he have for me on that? He'd be like, by the way, this isn't a complete sentence.
Oh my gosh. And he'd be like, you guys ready? Here we go. We done?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. I'm going to do the press conference one day. I got the John Cooper mannerisms down.
I love it. He's
like,
you
all
gotta.
Right. He's like, what's on TV? Like, that's the thing with him. Like, Coop does not take press conferences seriously at all. He'll come in, he'll throw his paper at me with the stats. He'll look up, football on? All right, here we go.
It's unique, right? It's unique
is.
because I went in my first game, right? And as you know, I told you, I was like, I asked the first question and then I went for the second one and he was like, wow, coming in hot on your first day. And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't think this is hot. Like I'm asking two layups, but it was interesting, like the vibes of everything. And after having been on the road so much, I laid out the last game. I was like, he doesn't need to hear my voice right now because he's also going to do one of those things like who's talking? And I was like, I don't need that moment right now. So, but don't worry, John Cooper, if you're watching, listening, I will still be asking questions because we that's what we're here for.
That's what we do. The one and only Julie Stewart-Binks, the greatest lower third of all time, because she
I know it is.
It. You are the best. Thank you, my friend. Again,
Jay.
so glad you're in Tampa, and I'll see you in the next week or so.
Sounds good. Keep up the awesome work. You're the best.
Thank you. The great Julie Stewart-Binks. Again, one of my best friends in the industry. She's hilarious. She's so smart. She's funny. Again, like she's like my BFF, man. Like we're like two peas in a pod, walking around, talking, laughing about literally everything in the world. She's like my sister. Like she really is. Like we have such a good time together. And she just does such great work. And it's such a weird thing. Like she's the person that came in for Gabby, and you know how much I love Gabby and I worked together for years, and I say this all the time. And when people ask me like, what's the best part of your job? And is it the games? Is it the athletes? Is it, right? No, it's the people that we work with. It really is. It's the people that we work with. And Julie is one of those people. I say it about my buddy Corey Long and being able to talk to him and Ed about wrestling the other night, Eric Erlinson and Greg Allman, who joined us on the program yesterday, how nice he is and how it's what it's all about, man. And again, this is what my goal was when I tried to do this as a profession and being in sports media is, you're going to spend a lot of time working in your life. Do something that you enjoy. Do something where, when you wake up every morning, you don't regret it. You don't, oh my gosh, like I never wanted to dread going to work. Everybody, a lot of guys and gals out there, you know what I'm talking about. When you wake up, your eyes open, and then you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this right now. And I experienced that a little bit when I was younger, working overnight at FedEx and doing some of these jobs. And I was like, it scared me. That terrified me to dread what I had to do for like every single day. Like I was like, shit, man, I live one time. I only live once. So I'll be damned if I don't do a job that I love. And that's why I got into sports media. That's why I got into coaching, because every single day I wake up, I don't look at it as a job. I look at it as just something that I get to do. And when you work with people like Julie, like Eric, like Ed, like Gabby, I mean, it makes you feel like you did the right thing and then you made the right choice. And just, being here with you guys here on the podcast and all the support, being able to talk to everybody and Realtor David, the worst thing about your job is covering Jason Light's horrible off seasons. Even that's not that bad, David, but I hear you, buddy. I like that comment. Thank you so much. And you're right. We the Thunder in the house. Check out all the stuff that they have going on. Great stuff there. Love watching their interviews with everybody that they have. Nigel Kerwin, Julie, our good friend Sonia Bryson Kirksey, Dolan She's Dynamite is right. What will I be watching this weekend? Well, Sunday, if I'm feeling 100%, because I'm still fighting it. On on Sunday, I will be at the Eagling Center at 1 o'clock. USF, FAU, guys, you need to go out there. Football doesn't start until 3 o'clock. Go out there, support the Bulls, then go home and watch football for the rest of the day. Go usfbulls.com. Get on out there and support our guys. Tonight, Lightning are in action in Chicago against the Blackhawks, and then they play tomorrow as well before they return on Monday for a game over at the arena. I don't know if I'll be at the game because I have practice on Monday, so we shall see. But there's also a big matchup on Sunday. I didn't even bring this up to the Arsenal fan, Julie Stewart-Binks. Sunday from the Emirates, Arsenal, Manchester United, Sunday at 11:30. You best believe I will be not driving at that time. So how am I going to plan this out? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the arena so I can get to the arena by 11:30, 90 minutes before the game, so I can watch Manchester United and Arsenal. You know, I'm a crazy maniac like that. That is how I roll. And then a big MMA match, right? 324, the undisputed championship or the interim lightweight championship between Paddy Pimblett, and Justin Gaethje. There's no way that this fight can be boring. Not a chance. Sean O'Malley against Song Yadong is going to be good in the co-main event. You got Derek Lewis fighting, Rose Namajunas fighting, Umar Nurmagomedov against Davison Figueiredo is going to be a good one. Nikita Krylov is going to be fighting as well. This is going to be a heck of a card. So make sure you tune in. UFC 324 this weekend. Again, I mentioned the Lightning in action tonight and tomorrow, and USF as well. Gonna be good, man. Gonna be good. And I think the Knicks play. I think the Knicks play Philly tomorrow. Yeah, 3 o'clock. Knicks have been sputtering. I know they just beat the snot out of the Nets, but I think me and 4 people watching the show could beat the Nets as well. Yep. Is Arsenal any good? Yes, they're in first place, but hopefully they lose on Sunday to Manchester United. A big thank you to everybody that helped us out today. Carlos Baserva, Dolan, Chan the Man, beautiful Friday in Tallahassee. Hope you're doing well. And David Terry, I can't do this without you guys. Thank you so freaking much. You guys are the best. UFC debuted on Paramount Plus is going to be good as well. DT, Liverpool and Bournemouth. Yep. And then us against Arsenal. A big thank you to our guests today, Julie Stewart-Binks, as well as the DAC. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez and Josh Queipo from Pewter Report. Support all of them. The way you support me, support them. That's how we're going to keep this train rolling. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, for all your residential and commercial needs. And, of course, Evara Health with the great Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. Go Bulls. Go Bolts. Go everybody. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, because this is going to be kind of the calm before the storm, because next week is going to be absolutely nuts with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I love you all. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday right here.